Welcome to the EOB podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I am Ben No, and hey, Senh is back this week. Hey, Senh, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, welcome back. Our lone listener out there is probably bored of me speaking by myself. So, I think you coming back is really good.
It's probably a bot anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In any case, it's there for bragging rights. At least have some, right?
Hey, a robot audience is an audience.
Exactly. In the future, hey, robots, they're going to be part of the audience. They know, they're aware, they're getting there.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started. Ant-Man coming in number one, another number one opener for a Marvel movie and superhero. That surprise. It made 58 million over the weekend. So it's one of the, I guess, the lower opening since it is a lesser known character, right? I think I was predicting the movie to make somewhere in the 50 million-ish range, but hey, it got 58, so I was kind of close.
It's not that much lower. It's like slightly, people were like 11% lower than the first Thor or the first Captain America. I'm surprised that the budget is so huge, like 130 million. Considering this is like a not even B-level, like C-level Marvel character that barely anyone knows about.
That's true, but the special effects are expensive. I mean, they shoot down, and they have, like, I think Ant-Man fights another costume robot. I don't know, is that another person? With similar powers.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
But if you look at the trailer, it sort of looks like Iron Man. I described it as Iron Man for kids, and it's kind of like that, because like the bad guy acquired another suit with similar abilities, and they fight it out.
Yeah, that could be it. Although to me, it looked more like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, a superhero movie for kids.
Yeah, that too. But it's like for kids. Anything you can attach to in the front, it's for kids.
Yeah, I mean, the 58 million to me is very good. For Ant-Man, especially a third-tier Marvel character. And, sometimes you read like some people were disappointed that it's not as big as the other Marvel movies. And I'm like, dude, it's Ant-Man. It's not Thor. It's not Captain America. No, your average film goer doesn't know who Ant-Man is. Probably didn't know who Ant-Man is or was until they, the trailer came out. And have it gross like 58 million to me is very good.
But again, no surprise there. And Marvel seems to know what people want.
Yeah, it's like most of the Marvel movies isn't as well reviewed as the other Marvel movies, but it's still decent. It's like what is it, 78% on Rotten Tomatoes? On Rotten Tomatoes, it's 79%. So 79% on the tomato meter is kind of in line with the other Marvel movies, maybe a little lower. It's not Guardians of the Galaxy type of, success, but, pretty close to the other ones.
Yeah, third tier we're talking about, in terms of power and appeal, right? With Thor, hey, this muscle guy with a hammer, you can expect him to lay the beat down on people, and that's
even with Thor, you've seen him in cartoons and Captain America, you've seen him, you heard him. Ant-Man, I'm not a huge comic book fan, but I was like, Ant-Man, there's a character called Ant-Man.
Right. No, I'm just saying in terms of the hierarchy, on things like, hey, you get this big, powerful guy, and audience or the target audience just want to see, beatdowns, right? But Ant-Man is not like a guy that, that's great up there in terms of power. He can't really lay the beatdown on anybody.
Exactly. And then his whole superpower is he shrinks to the size of an ant.
Yeah, but he probably has strength of an ant too. But and as we know in science classes, ants are pretty strong, relative to their size. But in any case, Ant-Man, another successful outing for Marvel, and it seems like and they can pretty much turn any of their characters, secondary, tertiary, or characters we haven't even heard of, into a successful franchise, because they can pretty much tie in any long movie into the larger narrative. And
well, no, I think it's way more than just that. There's that, and then they have a really good machinery going. They're like the Pixar of comic book movies. This consistency, this like quality, consistency in quality and consistency in execution. every Marvel film that they made, with the exception of the Hulk, is not only well reviewed but also commercially successful. And the only other brand that I can think of that has that level of consistency is Pixar.
True. But I would say that given the quantity, Marvel did it better.
Yeah, you can kind of say that they've done it a little bit better. Yeah. But I mean, Pixar is pretty good.
No, they're good. But like I say, Marvel's able to turn this thing out year after year, and keep it going.
I mean, Pixar's also been around for a lot longer.
I know, but they're not as prolific. They only turn out a movie I don't know, every 2 years or so before, or whenever it's ready, right? But it's only when they got acquired by Disney where they try to make one every year.
They're definitely not as prolific. I think you gotta compare, the time when both of them were at their peaks. There was a time when Pixar was at their peak, and everything they churn out is not only like 90% plus on the tomato meter, but also makes hundreds of millions at the box office, which is kind of like what Marvel is doing now, except Pixar's been a lot longer, and they have Cars 2, which is kind of like tainted their record a little bit. And even Brave is slightly tainted their record a little bit, but Inside Out is, bringing them back up there.
All right. Oh, I would have to say there is a slight animation discount for Pixar movies or animation movies. Like family movies tend to do a little bit better. I would I would think that it get an extra 10% bump on the reviews, like tomato meter, if it's a family film.
I don't know. It depends. It depends.
It depends. I know.
I mean, I think it depends. It depends. Yeah, I think like everything, it depends on the quality, because a lot of you could be right. Although I've seen family films that are just, when they follow the usual formula, like any genre, critics have a certain expectation, and when they see that is cookie cutter and is thrown into this machinery that just churn out a generic product, they tend to lay the beat down even on family films. I think most of this is kind of anecdotal. I think maybe someone should just go in and take out a bunch of family films and check out the tomato meter and see if on average they all higher than normal.
I agree with you generally, right? But I'm just saying, if we do that,
you could be right. That's the thing. You could be right.
I know. But if we include facts, if we go with what you say, if we include facts in our reporting and everything, then a lot of us
we wouldn't have anything to say, right?
Yeah, we won't have a job anymore. A lot of us will be doing something else. We couldn't make stuff up. Right?
Yeah, right.
That's my only objection right there.
Yeah, right.
we couldn't have any debates.
Right. Speaking of family films, let's go on to the number 2 movie of the week, Minions. At 50 million, this is the second weekend. In 2 weeks, it's already grossed over 200 million, so it's at 217 million. The drop-off is 57%, which is kind of steep for an animated film, but for a film that opened, at near record numbers, like 116 million last week, 57% isn't too bad.
Look, the awareness for this movie is huge. These yellow guys are everywhere. I mean, even if you don't watch TV, if you walk by anywhere, right, there are like billboards. There are the toy aisles, that rows of these yellow guys. These clues telling you that it's in theaters.
Yeah,
and the most surprising thing about this is that this movie made more than the second Despicable Me movie. I was expecting, this movie to open somewhere between, the first and second Despicable Me movie, right? Since this is a spinoff, but this made even more.
Right.
And I said in my podcast that it goes to show you don't need the human, not human character, but the Gru, the bad guy. Anymore, and you can just make a movie with these yellow guys. We'll be seeing Minions 2, 3, and 4.
That's the surprising thing with something like the Minions. I think when people saw Madagascar, they thought the penguins were like the Minions, and when they made a penguin spin-off, it disappointed a lot. And with that, people were saying, well, these things are only good in small dosages. Mm-hmm. But the Minions is even like Pirates of the Caribbean too. When they made Pirates of the Caribbean, was it 3 or 4? Maybe 4, huh? When it's just Johnny Depp, when the focus is just on on the captain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and people were like, yeah, you know, he's only good in small dosages. But, you know, I think this Minions proves that, hey, you know, it's kind of bucks the trend. You know, this even opened larger than the second film. And relatively speaking, it's holding up pretty well. So it depends. It depends. Sometimes, you know, after Penguins of Madagascar, people are like, well, you know, these side characters that makes things funny, you know, that's all they're good for. They're good for, you know, a few laughs here and there. And when Penguins came out and it disappointed so much, it only made 85 million compared to the Madagascar films, which made like 200 to 300 million. You know, they thought, hey, maybe something might happen similarly with the Minions, but no, the Minions, you know, like you said, even opened better than the second film.
You know, an alternate take this is maybe we've been looking at this thing wrong. Maybe these yellow guys are the main characters, right?
You never know. For the second film, these Minions do have a bigger presence. The first film, the presence was a lot lower. The second film, they have a bigger presence, and people reacted better to it by the box office numbers. It's like night and day between the first. The first one did really well. The second film was like made like 380 million or something, which is nearly twice as much as the first film. And with that, with the second film, the Minions have more presence. Finally, they had, you know, they have a third film where it's just the Minions.
Right. No. My thinking with this is you can take the human characters out of this, and it worked, right? With Minions. I mean, even though there are human characters, they're not the main, you know.
Focus, yeah.
Right. But if you take the Despicable Me movies, you take the Minions out of it. I don't think it'll work as well.
It depends on the story, because the first one was an interesting take. You know, what happens if you know you have a bad guy turning good, trying to take care of a little girl, you know. Trying to be a good guy. So it was an interesting take on a film premise. So I think that's what's unique about the first film. But then they also had these minion characters that eventually became a thing of their own. And like you said, yeah, they can make a whole film just about the minions, and it's going to be really successful. But these things you never know, because you know you have to. For a while, people thought you know the penguins were the minions of the Madagascar movies, so they gave the penguins their own film and attempt. You know, kind of like even Pirates. You know, they thought you know it's all Johnny Depp, and when Johnny Depp has his own film, sure it did decent, but it didn't do nearly as well as the previous pirate movies. But Minions is kind of surprising in that, unlike Penguins and like Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, the Minions can actually hold their own.
Right. Okay. I also want to add that the Despicable Me movies is what happened when someone looked at Monsters Inc. and say, "Hey, let's make a movie like that."
Yeah, could be. Yeah. And the DreamWorks movie Home is what happens when they watch the Minion movie and go, "Hey, why don't we make a movie just about the Minions?" Except instead of having them yellow, we'll have them, you know, turn all kinds of colors. You know, blue, green, whatever.
Hey, steal from the best, right?
Yeah, steal from the best. You know, and you know what else? We'll throw out our Minions movie before the official Minions movie come out.
Right.
Well, but obviously Universal has the last laugh, because their Minions movie, you know, after 2 weeks is already at 217 million.
Right, and I think worldwide is going to do extremely well as well. You know.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think worldwide figures right now is at 625 million. So
holy moly,
it's huge.
Should we move on to another surprise hit?
Okay.
Trainwreck also debuted this weekend. It's another Judd Apatow film, but written by Amy Schumer, who's popular from the TV show. I haven't seen her TV show, so. And LeBron James has a cameo. According to what I read in EW, he did a pretty good job. And, you know, it did better than I expected, 30.2 million. I was expecting like 10 to 15, you know, because, you know, I'm not familiar with Amy Schumer. You know, I haven't seen her TV show, so I didn't know like what kind of draw she has. But it does have the Judd Apatow as director, and he's done consistently well with comedies.
Like you, I wasn't expecting much of this movie. I was saying like it'll make 15 or so, right? And like you, I really don't know anything about Amy Schumer. You know, I don't watch her TV show. You know, and in terms of I don't know. I guess she's sort of like Melissa McCarthy. You know, it's like someone you don't expect.
Like what we want. Yeah, but we want. I think her humor is also very raunchy, and she's very edgy, and she, tries to push the envelope.
Well, yeah, she plays a character who sleeps around. Hey,
Yeah.
kind of like enough the guy, after the deed, right, like in the morning.
Yeah, right. And it's interesting that it seems like two of the top. If Amy Schumer comes out with another movie that opens to, 30 million or 20 to 30 million, you have two of the top draws and women draws in Hollywood. That's not your typical, Hollywood A-lister. They're both, kind of slightly overweight, and they're both really funny and they're both really edgy. It's not, you're not getting Angelina Jolie or Julia Roberts. It's kind of good to see that you have other actresses being a consistent draw on the box office that doesn't fit your usual Hollywood mold of a female A-lister.
Well, the thing with Amy Schumer is that she's from TV land, right? I mean, not a lot of people. If you don't watch TV, you really don't know who she is.
Yeah, right? And you're usually not sure how well those things translate. Like kind of like what's that HBO Entourage? You're not quite sure how big that fan base is. It could be as big as Sex and the City, or it could be as small as Entourage. You kind of don't know how.
Oh no, Sex and the City you can kind of know, but it's like these comedians coming out like the Saturday Night Live,
right, like people, Bill Heyman.
Yeah. You never know how they perform, and typically their movies are bad.
Yeah.
So I guess like she's did well, but then again, like she has the backing of Judd Apatow, and
that's true.
He's known for a director, and I guess his brand of comedy is there, even though this movie is written by Amy Schumer, right?
Yeah. So pretty good. Something not really like kind of unexpected. You like two of the top female draws at the box office. Now it doesn't look like Angelina Jolie.
Well, the open secret in Hollywood is that it's hard to find an attractive actress who is also funny. So that's why Amy Schumer and Melissa McCarthy succeed as comedians, because they're not attractive in the traditional sense.
Who I thought was gonna break that trend though. Like I thought Kristen Wiig would do a lot better. After Bridesmaid. But it seems like the actor that came out of that movie ended up being Melissa McCarthy. No, I thought Kristen Wiig would be the next A-lister.
Well, I still have not caught Bridesmaid, but maybe she is too straight. There's a straight person, and then there's the comic relief.
Yeah, it could be. She's part of the Saturday Night Live alumni.
Yeah, I think Kristen Wiig has her own idea on what to do. I think she wants to do more dramas.
Yeah, she does have her own. Yeah, she wanted to go the Bill Murray route. Instead of doing one comedy after another. She wanted to look for more qualities.
Right, she's against sequels.
Yeah,
I guess sequels. Universal wants them to get together to make a Bridesmaid 2, but it once was holding out.
After Bridesmaid, she can do whatever she wants to do, and then she kind of went with quality. Right. What she thinks is quality work.
Right. She wants to be an actor, instead of a comedian.
Right. Yeah. Which works for some people. Like Johnny Depp was like that immediately after TV.
All right. Let's move on to number 4. It's Pixar's Inside Out. It made 11.6 million over the weekend, and it made 306 million in 5 weeks. The surprising thing about this movie is that week over week, the drop off is like less than 50%, right? And in this 5th week, is the drop off is only 34%.
When the Minions opened, that's when it experienced its biggest drop. But the following week, which is this week, it went back to as usual, which is just, in the 30% range. Well, 34%, which is very good. So, Minions took a chunk out of the box office last week, but now it's back to its normal drop-off. I think 306 million right now is Pixar's 3rd highest grossing movie behind Toy Story 3 and Finding Nemo.
Yeah, it's inching up. I think it'll probably reach number 2 all time on Pixar's list.
Yeah, it can, especially at its current weight. And I had my doubts when they first announced it. A movie about emotions, such an abstract concept, and making a family film out of that's going to engage kids and adults. No, I thought it was very hard to do, and they succeeded.
Right, right. And if you take out that part of it, it's just pretty much a typical children movie about allowing the kids a room or space to grow up and to allow them to experience basically various emotions, like the good and the bad, and those experiences helps them grow.
Right, and not block them out.
Right, right. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel all these bad things. And they'll become stronger. Because of it.
Just as long as you don't let them linger on any one of those emotions for too long.
Right. Then they'll go into therapy.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to another movie that's been neck and neck with Inside Out, Jurassic World. It's at number 5 this week. They've always been close. 11.4 million this week. The total domestically is 611 million. So that's what the fourth highest grossing film of all time, behind Avatar, Titanic, and Avengers, the first one.
Right.
I think optimistically people were predicting that Jurassic World will make 200 million or a little bit over 200 million tops through its entire theatrical run in the US, and it made that in just one weekend.
Yeah, it's especially surprising considering that, like, I think the third movie didn't do as well, and a lot of years has passed between movies.
Mm-hmm. It's just not just the third movie. The second movie didn't do nearly as well as the first one either. I think the second movie made like 230 million, and then the third movie made about 180 million. So the most, optimistic, do somewhere in between.
I think the world was just ready for more dinosaurs.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can explain it. It's just like there hasn't been a dinosaur movie, right, in theaters for a while.
Well, Michael Bay's, robot dinosaurs just doesn't cut it for audiences.
Oh yeah, but that screen time is too short, right? I mean, it's only like the last 5 minutes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I think there has been a number of years between movies, so I think people were just ready. I guess the timing is right for more dinosaurs.
Yeah.
All right, move on. Number 6, Terminator Genisys. It made 5.4 million over the weekend. In its third weekend, it made about 80 million. Not that great domestically.
At least crime wave will not reach 100 million. It's going to be domestically will be the lowest grossing Terminator movie by far. Word of mouth hasn't been very good for this movie. It's been dropping by like near 60% almost every week. It follows the usual trend line of sci-fi movies. This is an established brand, so it's kind of surprising.
Well, it's not that surprising. The reviews are pretty terrible, like 26%. And like we say, the Arnold Schwarzenegger as an actor is not there. I mean, he's not that big of a draw, And
ever since he came back, he came back from being a governor, films that he starred in where he's the top bill star have been tanking really badly. It's like, was it Last Stand? Yeah, The Last Stand ended up only making like less than 20 million. And then Sabotage made even less. It's like 15 million or something total.
The Last Stand made 12 million.
Oh, 12 million. Holy moly.
12 million. It's bad. Sabotage made 10.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. And even the movie that he made with Stallone in the US, Escape Plan, only made like less than 30 million, right?
Escape Plan, about that. Let's see. Escape Plan made 25.
Yeah, 25, yeah. But you know what? They have both of them have an audience in China. The films that they've done together in China have done pretty well. Even Escape Plan. I think Escape Plan made something like 40 or 50 million in China.
I guess they just haven't caught on to this yet. Arnold Schwarzenegger. They didn't know that he's no longer an A-lister here.
So. Yeah. And the expendable movies, the only reason why there might be an expendable 4 is probably because of China.
But let's be serious here, because Arnold Schwarzenegger, outside of his movies with James Cameron, right? His movie didn't really make that much, considering, right?
No, he's been doing well outside. The one thing that he did well during his heyday was that he worked with the top directors. Like he worked with James Cameron. For Total Recall, he worked with was it Paul Verhoeven? I think it's Paul Verhoeven. At his peak. And even when he did Trends, he worked with Ivan Reitman, who's a pretty good pretty good comedy director. Since he came back as a governor, he hasn't. I don't think he's worked with the best.
I don't think anyone wants to work with him.
That's true. Yeah,
because like if you have a choice, you would choose the actors. Right now, actors can do action.
That's true.
Before, if you want action or realistic action, you need some martial arts guy or someone who has martial arts training or dance training, right?
Or someone who's just buff and physical like Stallone and Arnold.
Right.
In the U.S. Right. And it's the same thing that Van Damme mentioned. They asked him, they're like, "Hey, what happened to your career? How come there are no more action heroes?" And and Van Damme said, "Look, nowadays you have Nicolas Cage, who's an Academy Oscar-winning actor who can do action movies now. So they know they don't need us anymore, and that's why we can't compete with guys like Nicolas Cage who can not only act but can also with the stuntmen and special effects make their action seem credible, which is a very apt observation back then. It is true, nowadays, Matt Damon can look like with stuntmen and doubles and special effects, can look like a credible action hero. And on top of that, he can also act. You can give him lines to read and he won't.
People won't laugh at him.
People won't laugh. Yeah, it won't be an unintentional comedy.
Right. But it just goes to show how the Terminator franchise, it's not that big here anymore. Like the name does not bring out the people.
Yeah, unless James Cameron goes back to it. Right. I'm sure if James Cameron reunites with Arnold, it's going to be a huge film.
Yeah, and also story-wise, it's one of those movies that kind of like they take a lot of the old stuff and they try to take a spin on it. And yeah.
What's surprising is remember when we watched the trailer and we were reviewing the trailer?
Mm-hmm.
That's how the critics review the full-length film. It's pretty much exactly like what we said when we saw the trailer. We're like, hey, we've seen this before. They just took the best elements of the first two films and put in newer high-tech special effects and call it a day. And that's what most critics complain about. They're like, we've seen all this before. We've seen the liquid metal guy. We heard the line, "Follow me if you want to live." We've seen the old Arnold. So they're like, other than that, there's nothing much to the story, to the film. You know how they say, don't judge a whole film on the trailer and don't review the film on the trailer? The surprising thing was our critique of the trailer is exactly what critics in general, how they review the full-length feature. Maybe when I saw the trailer, my expectations were low. I was actually surprised by it. I actually liked Terminator Genisys. I was entertained by it.
Okay. Maybe, that's pretty much it. It is like people just kind of like it. It's like, oh, it's better than I expected. Maybe that was the sentiment.
Yeah, I can see why the first two Terminator films, they kept the time travel simple. There's only one cause and effect. Like the first film, they were sending back a person to stop the mother from getting killed by the evil Terminator. It's a very simple one time travel storyline. The problem with Terminator Genisys is they sent back multiple people, and there's all these factors affecting what happens in the future that it gets really confusing and really kind of messy.
I know. The problem with time travel is like you can always send another person back. You can always send people back further. It's like, why not just send everything back to the beginning?
Yeah. And that's the thing when I was discussing it with my siblings, and there's one huge plot hole is, if you really want this thing to work out for the bad guy, you just gotta send a certain thing back to the past and everything would work out. So when you think of it that way, it doesn't really make sense. But I think what James Cameron did well was he simplified the time travel part. He didn't try too many time travel elements to muck up the story.
He didn't make it the main point. Pretty much, it's like, oh, that's how it got there, right? And they moved on from there.
Well, in a way, this Terminator tried to do that, and they explain all these time travel stuff, and they're like, hey, that's how it is. But at the same time, you can't introduce all these time travel elements. They introduce all these time travel elements and say, hey, just trust us. All this stuff works out.
Right.
What James Cameron did was he just introduced one simple time travel element. So you can just follow that one simple time travel element and see how it affects the story. Whereas Terminator Genisys sent back a couple people in different time periods. So then you have all this complication that, when you think about it, doesn't quite work out and it just confuses you. That's the main complaint, is that, if you're going to do a time travel movie, you got to sit back and make sure that all these time travel elements that you introduce to the story works out. You can't just introduce it and go, hey, trust us, it works.
Right. Okay, that aside, let me ask you a question. Do you think the number is good enough for 2 more movies?
Domestically, no. But internationally, it's already at 277 million.
Yeah, but I heard that the budget is somewhere in the 150 million range.
Yeah, at 150 million, that's not good enough. It depends. It depends on how it does on video. Because Pacific Rim, which cost about 200 million, ended up making about 400 million worldwide. So that's twice its budget. And most of it was from overseas, and they're doing a sequel.
Okay, because the rights to Terminator goes back to James Cameron in 2019, and they're planning 2 more movies, one coming out in 2017 and one in 2018. So they need to hit those dates before then, or else they couldn't do the movies anymore unless they make a separate deal with James Cameron.
I think it's going to be tough. The thing that bode well for Guillermo del Toro with Pacific Rim was it was well reviewed, it was beloved by fans. And because it was beloved by fans and because there's a cult following, when it's released on video, those people will go out and gobble up the DVD. So I think that probably contributed to why they eventually went for a second Pacific Rim. But this, Terminator Genisys, is definitely not beloved because of the 26% or 20 something percent tomato meter rating. It crashed and burned domestically. The only reason why it is doing well is I think it opened in China already, right? Has it?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, if it hasn't opened up in China yet, there might be a reason why they would do it. It's just for the China market.
Because the high overseas tally would suggest that it opened in China, right?
No, I'm not sure. I've been looking at the Chinese box office. I haven't seen it. So if it hasn't opened up in China yet, then they're definitely making sequels because it's already nearly 300 million. It's already made nearly double its budget, and it's going to do gangbusters in China. I don't see this film not performing in China.
Oh, that's true, and also the sequel will take place in China.
yeah, true.
Okay, so let's assume that it hasn't opened up in China, so that means sequels will happen.
Yeah, if it hasn't, sequels will happen.
Right, and of course they can always take in foreign investments, like money from China, to make the movies. Well,
you know what? The second one, they're going to hire a Chinese star and make it a Chinese co-production.
Well, they kind of did. They cast like this Korean actor.
Well, he doesn't count.
As the liquid metal guy.
Yeah, but he doesn't count, which is good because they probably did really well in South Korea, which is the 3rd biggest market in Asia. 3rd or 4th, yeah. Because he's a Korean actor, they won't get a Chinese co-production deal from that.
Right, I guess that's why it hasn't opened in China.
Yeah. See, exactly.
Let's go to number 7, Magic Mike XXL. Magic Mike XXL coming in number 7 this past weekend made 4.5 million. And this 3rd weekend it made 58.6 million.
Because of its reported budget of only about 30 million. It made a lot of money, but I don't think we're going to be seeing sequels.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we won't be seeing sequel, but I envisions home videos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They just get all these good-looking buff guys and to take the clothes off, and they can sell a bunch on home video.
Yeah. It's just that they won't get Channing Tatum, but they might get the other guys. But yeah, I could see, I think there could be a lot more Magic Mice on home video, and I could see it doing really well on home video because, then you don't have to, they don't have to go and say, hey, I'm going to watch Magic Mike, and people are like, oh, you're going to the theaters to watch Skin. You can watch it in the comfort of your own home.
Right. Well, the thing I'm sad about is that since there's no sequel, is that they couldn't attach another X to the title, like Magic Mike XXXL. They missed a chance.
Right.
It's there for the taking, but the second movie didn't perform.
Yeah, they'll do that on home video.
Right. Okay, I'm sure.
Or who knows? Or they might do it on Netflix.
Hey, who knows? Yeah, Netflix is the dark horse in this one. They trying to get more original content, and and if it is cheap to make, right? I mean, because Netflix is kind of a distributor right now. They're paying money for these content creators to create shows for them, and movies as well.
Yep. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2. I'm waiting for it. I'm disappointed that they pushed it to 2016.
I don't have high hopes for that one, but that's another thing. That's somewhere down the line. We're going to talk about it later. But anyway,
okay, let's keep moving. Let's keep on moving.
Okay. Well, just want to say that Magic Mike, the sequel, did way worse than the first movie.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to number 8, The Gallows. 4 million in the second weekend. Typical horror movie drop, around 60%. Made 18 million so far.
Not gangbusters, but hey, I think the budget was only like 9 million. So it's gonna.
It wasn't 9 million. It's one of those found footage movies. It looks like they just shot it on a cell phone or something like that.
Right. Who knows? It might be even cheaper than 9 million.
And it stars nobody.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it costing more than 1 million.
Maybe Jason Blum took 8 million.
Well, he made his movie on the back end, any profits he make, I don't think they used the budget to pay the producer.
Right.
Yeah, and one thing is like, I don't know why they call it The Gallows, since it's one of those platforms where they used to hang people, and I think in the story there's only one gallows. But anyway, there could be more. I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
so.
Me neither. I forgot what I wanted to see it, but I forgot what's my reason for not seeing it.
Because it's a found footage.
Oh yeah. I don't like the found footage genre.
You've seen one, you've seen them all, really. But,
well, except for Chronicles, I did like Chronicles.
Well, that's a superhero movie.
Yeah. The other ones just give me a headache and makes me nauseous.
Right, and like Chronicles, you don't have stupid teens trying, getting killed.
Kinda. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, not as stupid as the other ones.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess that's it for The Gallows.
Okay, let's go on to another disappointing sequel, Ted 2. It made 2.7 million this week. It's continuing its significant drop off at 52%, and after 4 weeks, it made 77 million. It doesn't look like it'll crack the 100 million mark. I think the budget for Ted 2 was like 75 million, something like that. 77 million is not bad for comedy, but the only problem is the first film made like what 270 million or whatever.
It made more than half a billion worldwide. So
wow, huge. Yeah. So okay, 219 million. So from 219 million to less than 100 million is a huge drop off. It's not a dud, but it's a huge disappointment.
Right, like I've been saying, I don't think we'll be seeing a Ted 3 unless there's some miracle happening overseas.
Yeah, or direct to video.
Yeah. Well, we don't count direct to videos.
Okay, should we move on to number 10?
Sure.
Mr. Holmes, Ian McKellen stars. Ian McKellen is like a take on the Sherlock Holmes books. 2.5 million. It reached the top 10. I think it's not bad. They opened at 363 theaters. Per screen average is about 7,000, which is promising for indie.
Yeah. I think this movie is about Sherlock Holmes when he's old, like his mental faculties aren't there anymore. It stars Ian McKellen, right, as the Mr. Holmes, and Laura Linney. And it's directed by Bill Condon, the guy who directed a couple of the Twilight movies.
Well, he not only directed the Twilight movies, he did. I think that's one thing with the Twilight movies is that what did he do before the Twilight movies? He did
Dreamgirls.
Yeah, Dreamgirls. So he's a decent director. And the thing with the Twilight movies is no matter how good of a director you throw at it, because of the source material, it still can't quite push it to the fresh rating at Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, it's one of those things that sticks with you, no matter what he does in the future, He's always going to be a Twilight director.
Right.
People are going to say he directed Twilight because that's probably the most well-known movies on his filmography.
Right.
And anyway, Mr. Holmes is any movie is going to be a blip in theaters in the box office wise. It's probably going to get some nominations during award season, because of Ian McKellen, right? I mean, he's one of those guys who's always up there regardless of what he does. Unless it expands, that's probably the last we'll see of Mr. Holmes in the top 10.
Yeah, it looks like it'll probably expand. Yeah, but like you said, will the expansion push it any higher than top 10? I think it's great just popping up at the top 10. All right, should we move on to next week's films?
Oh yeah, let's move on to openings. We're gonna have three wide releases. Movie called Paper Towns, Adam Sandler Pixels, and Southpaw. So let's pick one to talk about.
Let's start with the biggest one, Pixels. It's Adam Sandler and his gang, his comedian gang. Kevin James is in it. Usually when he has his gang of comedians, his buddies, they tend to do decent. And this one has an interesting premise. It's about the popular 80s games, video games. I don't know. What do you think?
It's kind of like Ghostbusters, right? I mean, these video game characters coming into real life and destroying cities.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
they call on Adam Sandler and his posse to beat them, I guess, like beat the game.
Right, it's an interesting premise, definitely.
Right. So we're gonna have.
What are you thinking of that? The thing with Adam Sandler is his solo efforts hasn't been doing that well lately, because in his heyday, every movie he puts out makes like 45 million on opening weekend. But lately, it's been down to the high 20s, low 30 range. And except for the grown-up movies when he has his buddies like Kevin James and Chris Rock and who else?
Right. Okay. Speaking of that, I'm putting I think the movie will open probably in the 45 million range as well. Because I think Pixels has a broader appeal than Adam Sandler's other movies, right? There is really no objectionable material. This is a PG-13 movie. Like no kicks to the groin, no gross out humor. Not anything that we've seen anyway. That's PG rated anyway. And I bet on Kevin James and his awesome social media skills. Yeah.
Oh no,
Kevin Hart. Sorry, this Kevin James.
Yeah. You got the wrong Kevin.
Oh my God! Then I'm gonna take off 44 million.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'm saying 45 million. I think it's gonna open in that thing because it has a broader appeal. It has video game characters, well-known video game characters. The awareness for this movie is high, and like I say, I think it's no accident that this movie looks like a like Ghostbusters, right? And they're making a all-female Ghostbuster movie, and this is kind of like the male answer to that. So
yeah. And you have these popular video games.
Right.
From the 80s. So the parents will take their kids to this. They might feel pretty safe about taking their kids to this Adam Sandler movie. Just because it's rated PG-13, hopefully there's not too many objectionable material that they would have to explain to their kids.
Right.
But I agree with you, yeah. This definitely has a larger appeal. It appeals to the family audience.
So what? You're having it at 45 too, or maybe more?
I'm putting it at around 45 too.
So we both agree. So the next movie, Southpaw.
Yeah, Southpaw. So far on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 71%. But there's only 7 reviews, so it's too early to tell which way it's gonna go. Jake Gyllenhaal has been. I don't know, he's kind of on and off at the box office depending on the type of film, but not a super huge draw. And it's directed by Antoine Fuqua, who did Training Day and a bunch of action movies. I don't know. I'm thinking like 15 million.
Oh, let's see. This movie apparently opens in around 2,750 theaters.
Oh, that's pretty wide.
Yeah, that's pretty wide, but again, that's like less than 3,000 theaters. So I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna do 25, about 25 million, mainly because it's like you say, directed by Antoine Fuqua, right? It stars besides Jake Gyllenhaal has Forrest Whitaker, 50
Oh,
Cent,
okay, right.
Naomi Harris. So it's gonna have the African American
Oh,
audience.
Rachel McAdams too.
Rachel McAdams, but
Yeah.
in the trailer she got killed, so she's
Oh.
kind of there, but not there. You
Oh,
know.
okay. All right.
So
Okay.
it has, and it's about boxing. I think it has this. This movie would appeal to the African American audience. So
Mhm.
I think the box office is going to be higher.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm kind of feeling around 10 to 15.
Oh, okay,
But you could be right.
I'm going high with 25.
Okay.
And with these movies targeted toward African Americans, even though it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, who is a white guy, it has these like elements of the African American community, like lifestyles, etc.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal has been a decent draw at the box office. It's just you're not sure if it's 15 million or 30 million. But in your case, you're thinking it's going to be more towards the 30 million range, and I'm kind of towards the lower end.
Okay, all right. We'll see who's right come this weekend.
Okay.
Let's
Next,
go on to Paper Towns. This movie reminds me a lot of these Cameron Crowe films.
Yeah, and then it has this weird Gone Girl feel where because Gone Girl when she disappeared, she left a bunch of markers or a bunch of stuff for Ben Affleck's character to follow to try to find her.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw the trailer for this, it has that feel, except it definitely probably won't be going to that dark.
No.
Probably won't be as dark as a Gone Girl.
No, well, this is more like a coming of age movie where they have this female character who is a free spirit. Like this woman or female characters don't really exist. They kind of like break the rules. Like, hey, I'm gonna open your mind to the world or something like that. And you're too restricted in your views. And by going on this trip, you'll discover yourself.
Too safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I did see something that was objectionable. It's kind of like the Notebook, like in the beginning during the romance, it follows a similar thing where the girl is kind of safe, and then the guy is like, you gotta open up your mind, and he would do some stupid stuff like just lie on the middle of the street and go, hey, just lie here. Don't worry about. I'm like, sure, you can take risks, but don't go do something stupid like go into the middle of the street and lie there and get run over by a car. I'm all for taking risks, but like, don't be stupid. Don't go, hey, I'm just gonna walk across this freeway with a bunch of cars coming at you, and let's take a risk. Let's not play it safe. With the Notebook, I couldn't make it past that. I'm like, okay, I'm all for taking risks, but don't do something stupid. And this has that kind of something like that. I haven't seen something on the trailer that's as foolish as that scene where Ryan Gosling's character is lying in the middle of the street waiting to be run over.
Well, there's something similar. They're breaking and entering other people's homes, so they could potentially get shot.
Okay, all right, okay. That's what I can't get behind. I'm like, okay. You can take risks and stuff, but I'm just saying, like, don't do something stupid.
Right, okay.
But currently it's at 83% on the tomato meter.
Really? Okay.
Well, only 6 reviews. Reviews. I might or might not be going to a screening. I want to be open-minded, but when I see these characters doing foolish things all for the sake of taking a risk, I'm not.
All right. Give us your prediction.
Less than 10 million. I'll say 6-7 million. I'll just put it at 6 million. How's that? What about you?
Okay. Let me see. Let's see. Paper Towns is open in over 3,000 theaters, so it's kind of high.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
For a movie like this. Besides the fact that everything looks all too familiar, I think that the characters are likable.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I couldn't get over is if you've seen these type of movies, you kind of seen them.
There's some good word of mouth coming from the film festivals. So that's one thing going for it. And like you said, 3,100 theaters means the studio has a lot of faith in it.
It does, but then again, like like these characters, the actors, you don't know anything about them. They're probably too much newcomers, or I haven't heard of them, right? Yeah. And like I say, these movies, if you've seen one Cameron Crowe movie, you've seen them all. You've probably seen Paper Towns, I don't know. I don't know why they're opening this wide. I feel like this movie is one of those like indie movies, kind of like Dope and other stuff that's currently in theaters right now. Well acted, etc. But is it like entirely too familiar? So the target audience for this movie are probably teenagers who haven't seen anything like this, and they thought that, hey, it's the summer, it's a road trip comedy, a road trip movie, right? It's about a coming of age. It's about romance. It has all those elements. And there's even a prom date, dance off or dance at the end, probably. Who knows? It has all those elements. As for the box office, I think I'm gonna go a bit higher. I think by virtue of in so many theaters. So I think it's probably gonna do what, 15.
Yeah, you might. Well, I wouldn't go that high. After seeing 31 theaters, I
31,000. Yeah.
Yeah, 3,100.
Oh, 3,100. Right. Not that many.
Yeah, 3,100. Yeah, after seeing that many theaters, I kind of think you'll do better than 5, but I'll stick with my low projections. I think, but it did get a very good buzz coming from, I guess, Sundance or one of the recent film festivals. So.
Yeah, and the way they're advertising this movie is like from the people who brought you The Fault in Your Stars, which is a popular movie that's starring Shailene Woodley, or is it Shailene Woodley?
Yeah, and that opened to 50 million,
right.
opening.
Yeah, so they're riding the coattail of that movie with the Paper Towns.
I'm probably way underestimating, but it's one of those things where. I'm not the target audience, so I don't. The Fault in Our Stars, I have no idea that it would do that well. But I guess a lot of people had no idea that it would do that well.
Okay, yeah. That's why we see the name dropping here. Nobody knows what Paper Towns is, so they're attaching this movie to the other one.
Although I think you might be more right than I am. I'm probably way underestimating.
All right, then we'll come back next week and see how we did.
Right,
okay, so we reached the end of this podcast. So we'll come back next week, and hopefully you will be available.
Yeah, I think I will be.
Okay, that's great. So
again, it depends on how white I am. If I need you high, I might not. I might not be here.
We'll just replace you, like we replace our predecessor who was wrong.
Right. Okay.
Okay. All right. It's nice having you back. I think it went better than just me.
Hope so. Nice to be back.
Okay, so then let's come back next week and talk movies again.
All right. See you guys next week.